Somewhere, lost in the clouded annals of the World Wide Web, lies an event that few have participated in, a mysterious gathering called Monster Bash, where the long-forgotten practice of telling stories through art is revealed, but only to those who draw 6 faded cards. Welcome, traveler. If you're new to Monster Bash, then I have incredible news, as you now have 5 years of backlog to catch up on. But in the here and now, we need to negotiate our 6 cards. This year, I have been gifted with the following offerings. These cozy fall leaves, which will not only inspire my creation, but also the tone of this video. A pair of very distinct avian talons, a grotesque claw, which I plan on using in a unique way. My wild card this year being this smiley face mask, some adorable feline toe beans, and this curved crescent moon, which will influence the overall composition. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's finish our design and move on to the build. This process begins by twisting some soft aluminum wire. The 2 lengths of wire wrapped together give you 4 ends, which can be curved and crooked into the requisite forms. It's not necessary, but politely suggested, that you do have a sketch, so you can contort each limb to its appropriate shape. Be sure to leave each length of wire longer than we need for some upcoming steps. Now, with a thinner length of wire, we twist a hangman's noose, or a similar circular shape that can be attached to our spine. If you're not confident that the head will be supported by the wire alone, you can reinforce this graft with some superglue. Next, you must select a temporary handle for your armature, adding some mounting points for each of the legs. These can also be attached with some adhesive, and after trimming the wire to be flush with the base, we now have a skeletal system that is fit for this beast. Don't worry, friends. While this soap pump does resemble the energetic Gregory, it's actually just going to be the base of our sculpture. Once all the unnecessary plastic has been clipped away, we can measure, slice, and glue some layers of cork, which will cover the hole and give some elevation to our display. Using a combination of fast and slow drying adhesives, we can add even more texture with my favorite miniature combo. Dried out coffee grounds for some grit, and baking soda for finer, minuscule texture. Bringing back our friends from earlier, we're twisting up some more wire to make the crooked sapling from our design. Wrapping the branches in thinner wire will give our clay something to grab onto, and covering the trunk with hot glue and aluminum foil will give it some width, and cut down how much clay we need to use. You can use any self-hardening 2-part putty that you have, but I recommend using something that won't break the bank, as this tree is rather large. Using a crushed ball of our foil from before, we can rough up the bark, and then use a misshapen sculpting tool to smooth some of it back down. This step might not have been, strictly speaking, completely needed, but onwards and upwards. We can now glue our plant to the most spacious corner of the base and start adding some roots around the trunk of the timber. I've spoken to a few fair folk who have some strong feelings about their terrain, or miniatures for that matter, hanging over the edge of their bases. And I do apologize, but I simply do not agree. I want this haunted edelwood to be integrated to the whole piece, as the base is just as much a piece of art as the sculpture that it displays. Jumping back to our skeleton from earlier, we're using the remaining clay to add some rigidity to our creature. Starting with just the legs and the torso, we'll leave the head and arms alone for now. This way, we can bend them out of the way as needed during sculpting. As we add each new piece of clay, I like to roll a metal tool across the surface to lightly tack it into place before coming back and pinching the edges together. Don't be afraid to get your fingers on the surface of the clay, as any fingerprints will be sealed inside permanently, leaving your mark forever. Now that the first layer of clay has hardened, we can switch to our premier sculpting material. Starting from the foot and working our way up the leg, we add on each piece as a muscle, if you will, and then making sure it's tacked down and smoothed of any blemishes before moving on to the next piece, and so on and so forth. As this clay takes anywhere up to 3 hours to harden, the amount of time you put into it is really up to you. You can smooth your clay quickly using some hand moisturizer and rolling it over the surface, or smothering it in paint thinner, as I am, and slightly melting the clay. Taking some clay that was starting to go off, we can form it into a lump that will serve as the exposed heart of our strange creature. The heart will be encased by a claw-like rib cage. Each pair of ribs is roughly formed ahead of time and allowed to cure overnight before attaching them to our creature, always showing its exposed core. Now that we have some confidence in the process, we can quickly put together some arms before moving on to the neck and head. To include the round, smiling mask card, we'll find something round and appropriately sized to serve as a stand-in for our face, before filling in the neck muscles around it accordingly. Now, as I didn't plan ahead when posing this creature, we are not able to add the cat-like hands while it's on this base. So once the sculpture is fully cured, we'll remove it from its mount and attach some clawed, padded hands. Finally, we can make the smiling mask of Enoch. While working on this project and writing the lore for this creature, I decided that they do not simply wear one face, but have an array of them, making them a bit of a collector. It's no secret that I love writing the story of my creations as much as making them. And so with that, I hope you enjoy this creature feature. Once upon a moonlit night, we find ourselves in a realm of unbound fey magic. This vibrant and wild plain mirrors our home of Sedalia, but it is more extreme in its light and dark. We find ourselves in the heart of Esteval. As we travel to our destination, an ancient grove of long-dead cherry blossoms, and home to a spirit older than millennia. This creature is known only as How. It is said that long ago, when they held physical form, that How angered an archfey. In their anger, the Fae took How's head, leaving them cursed and bound to this realm, never to find their rest. Since then, How has become a keeper of secrets and a collector of masks. Masks of every shape and size adorn their domain, hanging from rope gently swaying among the trees. You can hear them long before you see them, as they softly clatter and ring like chimes. With your own mask securely fastened, you may approach Hao's domain with a single question in mind. In their wisdom of all the ages, you may sate your curiosity. But take heart, dear traveler. Do not look into the light. Do not gaze into Hao's heart. To stare into the radiant glow is to lose oneself and join their collection. Thank you so much for joining me on this brief adventure. As we wrap up and prepare the finishing touches for this year's Monster Bash, I would like to thank every person who has contributed to this annual celebration. I'm so grateful that there are far too many people to list individually, but you will find instructions below to their offerings, which I hope you will take the time to watch over this festive season. Each and every artist participating this year has inspired me and this video in one way or another. Like Wirt, the woodsman, and every pilgrim before me, I too am trying to make my way through these woods and would appreciate your support in any way you can offer it. Whether that's following me and my work, sharing this story with your kith and kin, or joining our coven, where you can enjoy this video with no narration. Thank you, fellow traveler. Until next year, guard your lantern well.